What if I told you your kitchen scraps could do this? Imagine transforming a barren patch of soil into a lush, thriving garden, all thanks to the magic of composting. Picture throwing your kitchen scraps into a compost bin, turning them over time, and finally spreading the rich, dark compost over your garden. The once discarded waste, now a precious resource, nurturing life in its most vibrant form. So, are you ready to turn your waste into garden gold? Welcome to the vibrant world of composting. Imagine a natural process that transforms everyday waste into a nutrient-rich magic for your garden. The basics of composting are simple. It's the decomposition of organic material, like vegetable scraps, leaves, and grass clippings, into a soil-like substance. This compost is a garden goldmine, providing essential nutrients for your plants. Now, where do you start composting? Well, it begins with finding the right container. Composting can be done in a variety of bins, from simple piles to fancy tumblers. A compost bin is a dedicated space where you'll place your organic waste. It can be as simple as a plastic bin with a lid, or as complex as a rotating tumbler that provides easy aeration. The choice depends on your needs, the space you have, and how much you're willing to invest. But remember, composting is not about the bin, it's about the process. Transforming your waste into garden gold is easier than you think. Why compost, you ask? Well, let's dive into the myriad of benefits that this humble process brings, not just to your garden, but also to our planet. Composting is like creating a gourmet meal for your garden. It enriches the soil, helping to retain moisture and suppress plant diseases and pests. By introducing beneficial organisms, compost improves soil fertility, leading to healthier, more resilient plants. But it's not just your plants that thank you. Composting is a champion for the environment. It reduces the need for chemical fertilizers, promoting a safer, more natural approach to gardening. And let's not forget the waste reduction. By composting kitchen and garden waste, we significantly reduce the amount of material sent to landfill, where it would otherwise produce harmful greenhouse gases. In essence, composting is like turning trash into treasure, transforming your kitchen scraps into a valuable resource. Composting is a win-win for you and the environment. So, what goes into the compost bin? Well, let's break it down into two categories: greens and browns. Greens are typically kitchen scraps like veggie peels, fruit rinds, and coffee grounds. They're rich in nitrogen, which helps speed up the composting process. Now, you might be wondering, what about the browns? Browns are dry materials like leaves, twigs, and even cardboard. They add carbon to your compost, balancing out the nitrogen from the greens. But here's the thing, you can't just throw anything into your compost bin. Meat, dairy, and anything treated with chemicals are a no-go. They can attract pests and slow down the composting process. So remember to keep a good balance of greens and browns in your compost and stay clear of items that don't play well in the compost pile. Remember, not all waste is created equal. Ready to start your composting journey? Great, let's dive into setting up your compost bin. First, choose a sunny or shady spot in your garden or balcony. If you're using a compost bin, make sure it's off the ground and has holes for aeration. You can use wooden pallets or bricks to elevate it. Next, lay a thick layer of twigs or straw at the bottom for drainage. Now it's time to add your green and brown layers. Start with a layer of green material like fruit and vegetable scraps. Then, add a layer of brown material like dried leaves or newspaper. Remember, the key is to maintain a balance of green and brown materials. Alternate between these layers until your bin is full, making sure to cover your food scraps with brown material to discourage pests. Finally, cover your compost bin with a lid to retain moisture and heat. And voila, your compost bin is ready. A thriving compost pile needs some love and attention. Just like any living ecosystem, your compost pile is a bustling hub of microorganisms, worms, and insects, all working together to break down organic matter. To keep this system running smoothly, you have to turn the compost regularly. This aerates the pile, ensuring that oxygen reaches all parts, which is vital for decomposition. Think of it like stirring a giant pot of soup. Now let's talk hydration. Your compost pile should feel like a wrung-out sponge. Too dry and decomposition slows down. Too wet, and you risk creating a smelly anaerobic mess. If it hasn't rained in a while, give your pile a sprinkle with the hose. If it's a bit too soggy, add some dry brown materials, like leaves or cardboard, to soak up the excess moisture. Remember, maintaining your compost pile isn't rocket science. It's all about balance. With a little care, your compost pile will flourish. facing some composting challenges? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Let's address some of the common issues you might encounter. First up, bad smells. If your compost pile is smelling less than fresh, it's likely because it's too wet or doesn't have enough air circulation. Try turning your compost regularly to introduce more oxygen, and add some browns like dry leaves or straw to absorb excess moisture. Next, pests. If you've got unwanted visitors, it's usually because you've added something they like to your compost. Avoid composting meat, dairy, or cooked food, which can attract rodents. If pests persist, consider a compost bin with a secure lid. And finally, slow composting. If things seem to be taking forever, your compost may be lacking in greens or nitrogen-rich material. Add some fresh grass clippings or vegetable scraps to speed things up. With these tips, you'll be a composting pro in no time. The moment of triumph is here. After weeks of diligent composting, it's finally time to reap what you've sowed. The compost heap, once a mix of kitchen scraps and yard waste, has transformed into a rich, earthy substance that's a gardener's dream. But how do you know when your compost is ready? Timing is crucial. Your compost should be a dark, crumbly material, similar to fertile garden soil. It should have a pleasant, earthy smell. If it's still chunky with visible kitchen scraps or has a pungent odor, give it more time. To harvest, simply shovel out the finished compost from the bottom of your pile or bin. It's best to sieve the compost to remove any large, unfinished pieces. These can go right back into your compost bin, contributing to your next batch. Now that you've harvested your compost, it's time to put it to work. Spread it in your garden and watch your plants thrive. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Now let's put that garden gold to good use. Compost is a versatile and powerful addition to any garden. Let's explore some ways to use it. Firstly, compost is a fantastic soil conditioner. It improves the structure and texture of your soil, making it easier for plant roots to grow. Simply spread a layer of compost on top of your garden beds and let nature take its course. Secondly, compost is a natural and organic fertilizer. It's packed full of essential nutrients that plants need to thrive. Just mix compost into your potting soil or sprinkle it around the base of your plants. Lastly, compost is brilliant for mulching. Covering your soil with a layer of compost helps to retain moisture, suppress weeds, and regulate soil temperature. So whether you're growing vegetables, flowers, or just want to improve your lawn, compost is the secret ingredient. Watch your garden thrive with the power of composting. Still unsure? Let's hear from those who've seen the magic of composting. Meet Sarah, a mother of two from Maine, who turned her lifeless backyard into a blooming oasis simply by composting her family's kitchen waste. Sarah says, "Composting has not only transformed our garden, but also our lifestyle. We're more mindful of what we consume and how we dispose of our waste." Then there's John from California, an urban dweller with a small balcony garden. John shares, "I never thought composting was possible in a small space, but I was wrong. Now my balcony garden is the envy of my neighbors thanks to composting." And our final story comes from the vibrant community garden in Chicago, where neighbors come together to compost collectively. They've turned a once barren plot into a lush green space that feeds their community. These are just a few examples of the transformative power of composting. So what are you waiting for? Join the composting revolution and turn your waste into garden gold. Are you ready to join the composting revolution? It's time to transform your kitchen scraps into garden gold. Begin your journey in the world of composting and witness the magic unfold in your own backyard. And as you embark on this exciting endeavor, remember, we're in this together. Share your progress, your triumphs, your struggles, and your questions in the comments below. We're a community, growing together. Remember, every bit of compost contributes to a greener planet. Start your composting journey today.